I kind of got into that place during the pandemic of reinventing myself because we were kind of all out of work at that point. And so I began really taking the experiences that I've had and putting that into coaching with teenagers.
Thank you, everybody. Hello, everybody. Today in the house, we have Eric Stenlake. He is one of my neuro coding brothers. I not only get to learn with him, but also from him. He has a background in public education. He also is a leadership trainer for Franklin Cavy, and he is a business owner. So thank you for being here, Eric. I appreciate you.
Hello. Thanks for having me. This is so exciting. It's great to be here with you.
Please share with us a little bit about your background so we all get to know you more.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. Like you said, I've been in education since 1996. I was a classroom teacher in middle school and high school, adult ed. I was an athletic director, a high school coach, a club coach, small business owner. My wife and I had a brain-based learning center here in Southern California. And then I've been with Franklin Cavy for 12 years, going around in organizations all over the US and Western Canada and delivering all of their fun content. And then recently, during the pandemic, got into the neuroencoding with Dr. Joseph McClendon, and then also the Brain Revolution team with Dr. Daniel Amen, and going that route as a brain health trainer with the Amen Clinic. So there's so many great and exciting things happening.
Yes. And I'm very curious, to learn more about your leadership skills with the kids, with the adult. I mean, not only the adults, but mainly our teenagers, because I know you have experience with leadership towards the youth, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I kind of got into that place during the pandemic of reinventing myself because we were kind of all out of work at that point. And so I began really taking the experiences that I've had and putting that into coaching with teenagers and tweens and parents and families, because we had also been doing that years ago in our brain training center. And so kind of just, circled back to that again. I do teen workshops, teaching leadership development within that realm. And it's just been amazing being able to see kids come to me in a state of fight or flight or freeze, numb, and they're so scared to take the next steps in life, and to help them, kind of unpack those feelings and validate them and get them to the place where they're ready to take the next steps in their journeys. Because kids are so resilient and so amazing. They just need a little help along the way. And so when you look at the stages of development, kind of in that third grade, we find that kids get stuck because they're transitioning academically to the next step. They're transitioning socially to the next steps, and then we see that happening again in that kind of fifth grade, sixth grade, that middle school transition, middle school to high school transition, high school to next level transitions, and so that's kind of where I'm jumping in and helping them within that.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. So please share with us, like as a parent, what is the foundation for good parenting?
A foundation for good parenting, right? Let me tell you something. If you find a parent that has this dialed in, send them my way, because I want to know, right? Because parenting is a nonstop learning process, right? If you ask my kids, I get up every day and I'm more stupider than I was the day before, according to my kids, right? Because why? You can't relate to me as a teen. You can't relate to what's going on. So I have to be really, really conscious about my interactions with my kids, and then also with the teens that I work. Because the foundation for being a good parent really, to me, comes down to the relationship and the listening. and the validation and the empathic listening. Because you have kids are so stinking funny. They pull stuff out
Yes.
of who knows where, right? And they'll
Yes.
say stuff and you're thinking, oh my word, these kids, what is wrong with them? But then
Yes.
when they hear back what they've just said, it gives them time to process. The empathic listening is so valuable for them because it's not about me dictating to them what they should be doing and where they should be going, but helping them guide through that process. And I think when I really changed that paradigm as a parent and stopped looking at my expectations, projections on them, and allowed them to guide themselves and learn through that for themselves, that's where our relationships really changed. So be okay to make mistakes as a parent because that's natural. We're going to do it. We're going to do it all the time. But learn from that. Learn from the differences in each of your kids to know how and what makes them so uniquely different, because what I can say and do with one of my children, I cannot do with the other. And so when I get into those one-on-ones with them, I know really what my place is and how to interact with them at a very successful and effective level. And coming to that place of learning with them is really what I found as what makes me a successful parent.
That's awesome. Yes, changing our paradigm. I relate with you whenever you said that you change the expectation, of your children, and because I was that way too. It was like I had expectations, but then whenever I changed those expectations to like, okay, let me get to know him better. Let me get to understand him better. I'm talking about my oldest one is 16, so he's the one that's teaching me how to be a parent. Uh, so yes, I truly agree with you because that was a life changing for me as a mom. It's like stop seeing the expectations because I was being really harsh. I think like
Mhm.
I wasn't in my heart. It was more like I was in my head. Like this is what I expect out of you, and that's I messed up. But I learned. It's like so I tried to go to my heart and be like, okay, let's understand him from his point of view and guide him. Seems like I try, every
You
parent
know,
tries.
yeah, I think too is if I am really, really clear of who I am as a person, that helps because we cannot parent in the way that you and I were raised. It's a totally different world. There's so many different things happening that did not happen when we were kids, right? And so, we grow up with the expectations and projections that our parents put on us to parent and come from that timeline or that time frame of parenting, which no longer exists. There's tools with putting parameters and boundaries to create space for the kids to be successful in. That's what we absolutely need to do for our kids. But I learned I cannot parent in the way that I was raised. It's a totally different world.
Yeah, yeah. It's and it's something that is a pattern that is within us, and we have to like catch ourselves. It was like, that does not work anymore. Like I have to catch myself. It's like, nope, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, how can we nurture our children or our teenagers and at the same time guide them, to a brighter future instead of like expecting them? It's like, how can we like take the steps to nurture and guide them at the same time?
Yeah, boy, that's a great question. I get that all the time because parents come in and they're coming from the framework of parenting from the way they were raised, and so in order to get to that place of support and nourishing the kids to their success and what that looks like for them, again, it's a completely different paradigm. And so if my projections on my kids are coming from my frame of reference, that's not going to work. If I am guiding them and playing that role of a guide or a life coach, to my kids, I have so much better results with them. You know, they're able to go further faster because their exploration around who they are and what they want to be becomes very clear to them. And so by using curious questioning with them, I'm able to help them uncover and discover who they are and who they want to be. And so that really truly is the framework for success when looking at guiding them to a brighter future. It's not my future, it's their future. And I have to remind myself of that. So when my kids say, I want to do this, I don't go, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard, right? I don't want to do that. I want to explore with them where their confidence level is where they feel most capable, courageous, curious to kind of bring about that decision-making process for them. Prime example this weekend, my daughter's looking for a job, right? And a friend of ours just opened a restaurant. And so there's opportunity there. And we began looking at all the different roles that were available. Now, I know she's not going to want to be a dishwasher. I can't get her to bring dishes from her room down to the sink. Let alone, how is she going to clean a restaurant? Forget about it. It's not fair, right? We as parents know these things, right? To be a server, she said, I don't think I would be a good server because I think I would drop the trays. I would have food all over the place. And I said, well, where do you see yourself fitting into that or being comfortable, confident in that? She said, I think I could be a hostess. And I said, I think you'd be a really great hostess. Tell me what that looks like in your mind. So she laid it out, explored that, and then she was ready to go ahead and call the guy and say, I'd like to come in for an interview. Oh. If I had projected, here's what you're not good at, that would have killed her spirit. That would have stopped her from her progression and exploration into a role that she would be good at.
Okay. Wow. And it takes time, you know, like sometimes we're in a hurry. Sometimes we have to get dinner ready or do the laundry or clean the house. But it's the time and commitment that we have to sit down and, okay, let's explore this new challenge that you have. So
absolutely.
That was beautiful. Yes. Oh, so when it comes to time, that our children begin to give us clues of that they want their independence. You know, they express their independence through their life, even whenever they're 2, and they begin to say no, no, no. But it gets more challenging whenever they're teenagers because they want longer hair or shorter hair or color hair or their clothing style changes. So how would you advise us to approach that where we can, you know, allow them to express their independence, then at the same time guide them to like what is proper or not based on your family expectations?
When my kid walked through the door with blue hair, I said, I'm done. I'm done as a parent. I can't do this. I failed. I have failed. And it took me time to get over that. Why? Because of me. Mm-hmm. It was my projections as to who I thought they should be. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference with setting boundaries and expectations for success in a family and with my children than it is to understand why they wanted blue hair. What was the reasoning behind that? Because when I uncovered that, then it made sense. They wanted to have blue hair because their friends were dyeing hair. Did I like that and agree with that? No, not necessarily. I didn't. They had great sandy blonde beach hair, and I loved it. And it looked fantastic. And you know, I had to get over my feelings, insecurities about, well, what is society going to say about my kid with blue hair? That's a direct reflection on me as a parent. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not. And so I've learned to allow that exploration because, again, if I keep putting them in a box, they're going to live their life in a box. They're going to be in a state of dependency for me to say and do everything that they should be doing, rather than setting them up for success to be able to have a decision-making process that they're able to work through, because when they get into the real world and they don't know how to have conversation, they don't know how to work through to solutions on things, they're going to really, really struggle. So when I see dress changes happening or hair colors or styles happening, I might not like it, but it's not about me. It's about them and understanding them and being supportive of them to understand their why behind it. And I think that for me was a really, really big challenge, because I didn't want to break their spirit and make them feel bad. I want to support them, encourage them, love them, and be there for them no matter what.
Okay. Yeah, it's a tough one for parents sometimes, like, where you're like, what? You know, and yes, because you sometimes our standards are based on, like you said, on society. So yeah, yes. Um, so going back to like their spirit, you know, how can we nurture their self-esteem and advise them to go, you know, for more, to do more without breaking their spirit?
Yeah, boy, that's a great question. You know, praising kids means so much to them, validating them for who they are, not necessarily outcomes that we think they should be achieving or receiving. So what I mean by that is we have conversations, and when they say this isn't working out, well, what was your effort level in that? Well, okay, so minimal efforts produce minimal results. If you want a different outcome here, what might you do to achieve that outcome that you're happy with? And then we go back and we begin to habit stack those things that they could be doing. And now we look at micro stepping those habits, those goals, to break it down to smaller pieces, which we then know in turn is going to lead to their success. So the outcome to that is the confidence, the capability, the spirit of them wanting more, to do more, to be more. And I think that is the key. And I coach a lot of kids on this because, you know, this is 2022, and the challenges that these kids are facing, their spirits are really fragile right now. And, you know, they're coming to me not understanding how to do things, and they're stuck because of things that have been going on over the last few years. And how we begin to make those steps that are going to give them the outcomes that they're looking for. I don't project, again, it's all about the projections. I don't project on them what their outcomes should be. They have to find where they want to be, what level they want to achieve, what their outcomes are, and then we back that out and start from the beginning of looking at how they can do that in the habit stack.
That's brilliant. You know, that is brilliant, because like they're giving you their paradigm, you know, like where they want to go.
Absolutely.
So you reinforce their identity as their values and their skills, and then it's like, okay, well then you might have to work, you know, putting 5 more hours a week versus, you know, 5 that you are only, you know, working towards the goal. So you need to add more if you want to get that result. So okay.
Yeah,
That's brilliant.
thanks.
I like that. I'm gonna adopt that with my kids.
Yeah, absolutely, sure.
Yeah, because you know, like we are in 2022, and somehow it's like I struggle thinking, okay, how can I install that hunger in them? You know, for them to be more and want more and just want to be better. Uh, but that's, you know, that is a great strategy that you're sharing. That it is, they're giving you the results pretty much, like their own answers of like how far they want to go. Yep. With the questions that you're asking, and then based on, like you were saying, their skills, and then you determine the time that it's going to take them to achieve that goal.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And the funny thing with this is I could have a 4.0 student come in with the exact same thoughts, feelings, as a kid that's struggling in school, and there's no difference in there because they're really concerned about outcomes, right? And so when I take them from here's where you've been, here's where you are, here's where you want to go, and they begin to uncover that, that's where they see where their potential lies and what needs to be done in action that drives the results and the outcomes that they want.
Yeah, I like that because you're also teaching them, look how far you've grown.
Yeah.
And if you were able to move from A to B, you're able to go from B to C,
Absolutely.
So you're giving them that strength, like, oh, sometimes we don't pay, like we adults, sometimes we don't pay attention of how far we've grown from last year to now, right? And sometimes we don't feel like we are where we need to be, like we do bad self-talk to ourselves sometimes. So yeah, if we can teach our children, to see how much they've grown from one place to another. Like my child, my son's gonna be 11. He said, "Mom, remember when I was dumb in kindergarten?" And I was like, "You are not dumb." He's like, "Yeah, I was, because I remember the teacher giving me work and I just couldn't do it." He's like, "I couldn't understand." And he's like, I was like, "Well, but you could name all the dinosaurs' names." It's like your brain works different. You always been smart. It's just your brain works different. Whereas like you could name all those dinosaurs that I couldn't at that age, but it's just your brain works a little bit different. It's not like you were dumb. So some of our children think that they're not smart enough, but they are, just because their brain just works a little bit different than the traditional child. So helping them see that they've grown is a gift, because if they've grown from A, like I said, from A to B, then they can go from B to C. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
And I love that you're celebrating with your kids, right? Because I don't think kids are celebrated enough. They don't do it for themselves. Well, heck, we as adults don't do it. We don't celebrate, how our day went, what went well, and when at the end of the day reflections. I love when my watch does that. It's the end of the day, time to reflect. So I great, what went well today? Right? How do I start my day in that attitude of gratitude? What am I feeling really good about? And celebrating my successes along the way, even as minute as it might be, with the kid, and making sure that they understand their worth and their value, and celebrate them for who they are, is so key. I love that you're doing that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I need to do it more often though. Like I'm glad you used your phone. I need a reminder, because another one is like, what are you grateful for? Like if we can just ask them, what are you grateful for? Then they begin to automatically develop that path, or that habit, to think what they're grateful for daily. But yes, I like that idea about your phone. Or your watch. I'm gonna have to time mine like once a day to create the habit.
Yeah, that's great. I love it.
Good. Okay. What has been your biggest challenge as a leadership coach or as a parent?
Biggest challenge. I would say looking at, the beginning stages with people, whether I'm in a corporate setting or a school, a professional development setting, or individual client, family client, is knowing where they can be, and the challenge of helping them to see what they need to do to get there, and then encouraging them to have that ability to take action. Because I think it's natural for us to go, oh yeah, that's awesome, I want to get here, I can do that. And then what happens? We don't do it, right? We get sidetracked. We allow other things to rob and steal our time and our focus and our energy. And getting people to stay engaged in that action and activity, because those things drive good habits, which leads to our success. And I think that is challenging sometimes, because there's can be pushback from people. I want to get there, but I'm not willing to start the process yet, or I'm not willing to engage in this now. And then they come back to me again and say, why isn't this working? And then we revisit, tell me what you want. And they go back through that again. Well, these are the things that I want. Okay, what have you done yet to begin to get into that course of action to drive the results that you're looking for? Well, I haven't really done anything. What would be possible? What would be achievable if you began to take some action today, that you're going to see things differently tomorrow, next week, next month? Where will you be in a year if you are consistent in those actions or steps along the way? Where will you be? And I think that's challenging, because sometimes I can get impatient. I don't know about you. I can get impatient talking to my kids. Well, of course, just do this, and you'll get there. Boom, easy, done. Forget it. No, I've got to allow that time for process of learning to happen for them, because it's not about me, it's about them. And taking that off of me and allowing that discovery process, the processing, mental, physical, emotional processing to happen for them to really get the results. They're going to be so proud of themselves in the outcome if they're the ones that take on the role and responsibility to get there. And I guide them, and I'm not driving that.
And sometimes you have to nurture that shift between the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset. So sometimes it takes a little bit to tilt them to the growth mindset. So
absolutely. Yeah. And being one that in this role, it's very common for me to really lay out challenges in action. Okay, you're saying you want to do this. Tell me where you're starting from. Okay, great. And sometimes with my kids, it's when can I check back with you? Or when do you want me to check back with you? They're going to say never. But I know if I'm going to be their support structure or accountability in this piece, I do have to check back in. As much as they don't want me to, I need to say, how's it going? Can I support you in anything? Yeah. Not show me how far you've come. Show me what you've done. Show me how many, your homework assignment. Did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? And not be that nag. Not be that, what we call that sage on the stage, but be that guide on the side, nurturing that journey and path.
Be Mr. Miyagi.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Somewhere along the way, they'll figure out, oh, this is working. And when they get to that place of realization, that's where their speed begins to increase, because they're seeing, feeling, experiencing success, and they want more of it. And that's when we see really, really change begin to happen, right? As you said, moving from that fixed mindset to that growth mindset. How stuck do we as humans get in that process when we don't allow ourselves that time, and we get stuck in that fixed mindset and where we've been, and not allowing ourselves to grow into who we were created to be?
Yes. And learn to identify, guys, learn to identify the thieves of our dreams, like self-doubt is one of them. Sometimes we don't believe in ourselves. We don't think we're capable of. Sometimes we're afraid of failing. That's a big one. You don't want to, show up, because what if you fail? They're going to laugh at you. That's one of our fears, fear of rejection, because we all want to be loved and liked, and to be different. People are going to notice, and they are going to express. So we don't want to feel that, rejected. So
Yeah.
there's some of the thieves that knock on our door every day.
Yeah. Hey, how often do you tell your kids that it's okay to fail, that it's okay to make mistakes, that it's okay not to be the best? Do you often tell your kids that? Do they know that you, as their mom, will love them no matter what? That even if they make a big mistake, that you're there for them no matter what? I ask the same question of parents when I'm coaching with them. I ask the same question of teachers all over the country in schools. Do your kids know it's okay to fail? Wait, you're in an education system. Failing is a negative. No, failing is a time of reflection to understand why I got to this point. And I think in society, we think as failing as an F letter grade or a D letter grade, when that's not the case. It's a learning process, it's a learning cycle. And I think once that permission is given and that weight comes off of people's shoulders, that wait, I can fail and it's okay. Yeah, because you're learning. It's the same thing with athletes, right? You think of fail as a score. In education, a score on a piece of paper, that doesn't define who you are. That just means you got that score, you got that grade. That doesn't mean that's who you are as a person. We simply need to look at the learning process and where were we successful and what might we do better to improve upon that success next time.
That's beautiful. It's like, boom, yes. Yes. And even though as a mom, it's like, okay, I need to make sure that they know that it's okay to fail, because, and use that word, because I don't think I use that word very often. It's like, whenever they mess up on something, it's like, oh, it's okay. It's like, what did you learn from it? Like,
Yeah.
what did you learn? But I guess being clear and in like bringing the word into their vocabulary, where it's like failing, it's okay.
Yeah.
I need to do that as a mom, or is like do that say that sentence more often.
I like to look at that word fail, break it down by the letters. Fail, first attempt in learning.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not, I might be looking at fail as, a way that I go into fight or flight and then I can't function because I'm so scared to make a mistake that I can't perform in whatever magnitude that is. And then I don't have the results that I want.
Yeah, let's practice that, everybody, with our kids. Yeah, I will. I'll promise. I will practice that. Whereas like bring that to their awareness. That word, like failing, because I don't say that very often. I try to ask, well, what did we learn from it? What do you learn? How are you going to do better next time? But that word, like, oh, failing, it's okay. We're just learning. But yeah, we should make it more like a common conversation.
Right, right.
Yay. So where can we find you, Eric? If there is anybody in our audience today that wants to learn more about you, what you do, where can they find you?
Yeah, great question. So on Facebook, you can find me at Energetic Life Now. That's my coaching page there. Energetic Life Now. And on Instagram, it's life_coach_Eric, Life Coach Eric, with a couple underscores in between. And yeah, and in the links on my bio there, you can jump onto my calendar, schedule a 30-minute discovery call with me. Let's take a peek at what's happening in your world that maybe you could have a little support with, and then we can go from there and begin to get some solutions in place for you to experience the success that you want within yourself, your family unit, your organization, whatever that case may be. They say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is today.
Yes.
Make that change and start today to experience the success that you want later.
Absolutely, yes. And like I said, he is my neuroencoding brother. So I get to learn not only with him, but also from him. So he is 100% recommended.
Thank you
uh,
so much. Thank you for
you,
having me.
you're so welcome. So before you go, let me ask one last question.
Mhm.
From your core message, what can you share with us for us to begin to create a brighter future?
Core message for a brighter future: get out of your own way and lead with authenticity, whether that's yourself, your family unit, in your work role, so your personal professional roles. Be authentic, be you. Don't be afraid to get to places of growth and push through those barriers. You were created for greatness. You were created to be an amazing, magnificent, incredible person that you are. Whether you have forgotten that or you're in it, it's the time now to re-engage with that. Move yourself from good to great or great to extraordinary, and watch your life blossom and flourish.
That's awesome. Yes. I hope you guys found lots of value today. I hope you found a word, a phrase, a thought, an aha moment for you to begin to implement into your life to create a brighter future. There is always time for growth. You know, I'm always growing. I'm always learning. I think that's part of our nature. Look at a tree. You know, look at a flower. They're always growing. They're always producing. They are a cycle, of course, but you know, they're always producing and growing. So I think that I truly believe, you know, that is part of our nature. And I bring you this information just to help you. You know, like I said, only sometimes one word, one phrase, it opens a new idea and a new way of living a better life. So blessings to you all. High five, Eric. Thank you for being here. High five.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Blessings to everybody. Bye.